You're getting ready. You spend an extra 20 minutes on your makeup. You choose that outfit again, the one you think he likes. You laugh a little harder at his jokes than they deserve. You shrink yourself just a little bit smaller to make him feel bigger. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you're waiting for it. That glance of approval, that compliment, that nod that says you're enough. If this hits close to home, you're not alone. But here's what nobody tells you. Seeking validation from men is costing you everything. It's costing you your authenticity, your confidence, your opportunities, and most importantly, it's costing you yourself. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why you do this. And more importantly, you're going to have a concrete roadmap to stop. So, stay with me. Let's start with some uncomfortable truth. This pattern didn't start yesterday. It didn't even start with your last relationship. It started way earlier, probably when you were a little girl, watching how the world treated women based on how men perceived them. You learned that your value was somehow connected to male attention. You learned that being pretty enough, or smart enough, or interesting enough meant being validated by the male gaze. And here's the psychology behind it. Our brains are wired for belonging. We're social creatures. We desperately want to be accepted and valued. But somewhere along the way, we got confused. We started believing that acceptance had to come from a specific source, men, to actually count. When you seek male validation, what you're really doing is outsourcing your self-worth. You're handing someone else the remote control to your life. You're saying, your opinion of me matters more than my opinion of myself. And the really insidious part, this doesn't happen consciously. It happens in 1,000 tiny moments. It happens when you apologize for your opinion in a meeting. It happens when you downplay your achievements. It happens when you stay silent when you should speak up. It happens when you change who you are to be more palatable, more attractive, more acceptable to someone whose approval you're desperately seeking. But let's look at what this actually does to your psychology. When your self-worth is dependent on external validation, you live in a constant state of anxiety. You're always monitoring, you're always adjusting, you're always asking the internal question, does he approve of this version of me? This creates what psychologists call contingent self-esteem. And contingent self-esteem is fragile. It goes up and down based on external feedback. One moment, someone compliments you and you feel amazing. The next moment, someone ignores you and you feel worthless. You're on an emotional roller coaster that you didn't choose to ride. Here's something that might surprise you. The research shows that women who seek external validation actually become less attractive, not more. Why? Because authenticity is attractive. Confidence is attractive. A woman who knows her worth and doesn't need someone else to confirm it, that's magnetic. She walks into a room differently. She talks differently. She makes decisions based on what she wants, not on what someone might think. And ironically, when you stop seeking validation, you actually get more of it. Because you're no longer desperate. You're no longer performing. You're just being you. And being you is actually really powerful. So why is this so hard to stop? Because validation feels like love. When someone approves of you, your brain releases dopamine. It feels good. It feels like acceptance. And when you don't get that validation, it triggers the same pain centers in your brain as physical pain. Literally, your brain experiences disapproval, like an injury. So you keep seeking it, trying to get that hit of dopamine again, trying to avoid that pain. You're caught in an addictive cycle. But here's the liberation. You can rewire this. You can break this pattern. And I'm going to tell you exactly how. The first step is awareness. You have to catch yourself in the act. You have to start noticing when you're seeking validation and when you're being authentic. So here's what that looks like in practice. You're in a conversation with someone you're interested in, and you notice you're changing the way you speak. You're making yourself smaller. You're agreeing with things you don't actually agree with. You're laughing at jokes you don't think are funny. That's the moment, right there. That's when you pause and ask yourself, why am I doing this? What am I afraid will happen if I'm just myself? This awareness is everything. You can't change what you don't notice. The second step is understanding your origin story. Where did this come from? For a lot of women, it comes from childhood. Maybe your father was emotionally unavailable, and you learned that if you could just be good enough, pretty enough, smart enough, he might finally show up for you. Maybe you grew up watching your mother outsource her self-worth to men. Maybe you went through school with boys who only seemed interested in girls who looked a certain way or acted a certain way. Whatever your story is, it's not your fault that you absorbed this message, but it is your responsibility to question it now. You have to look at that belief system and ask yourself, is this actually true, or is this just something I learned? The third step is what I call the reality check. You have to understand that male validation is not actually the currency of your worth. Your worth is inherent. It's not earned. It's not dependent on being attractive to men. It's not dependent on being in a relationship. It's not dependent on anything external. You were born with value, full stop. But here's what makes this real. You have to start collecting evidence. You have to start noticing what you're actually good at. You have to start celebrating your own wins without needing someone else to celebrate them with you. You got that promotion? Celebrate it. You finished that project? Acknowledge it. You made someone laugh with your authentic sense of humor? Notice it. These small moments of self-celebration start to rewire your brain. You start building internal validation instead of constantly looking external. The fourth step is boundary setting. This is where a lot of women struggle because setting boundaries feels selfish. But it's not. It's necessary. And here's what that means. It means you stop changing yourself for someone else's approval. It means you stop tolerating behavior that's below your standards just because you don't want to disappoint anyone. It means you say no without explaining. It means you express your opinion even if it's different from his. It means you pursue your goals even if he doesn't understand them. Boundaries are not mean. Boundaries are clarifying. They tell the world, and most importantly, they tell yourself what you actually stand for. The fifth step is building your own validation system. Instead of waiting for external validation, you become your own validator. You set your own standards. You measure your own success. You celebrate your own efforts. This sounds simple, but it's genuinely transformative. Start a daily practice, and this doesn't have to be complicated, where you write down 3 things you did well that day. Not things someone else praised you for. Things you think you did well. Things you're proud of. Things that aligned with your values. You're training your brain to look inward for approval instead of outward. The sixth step is changing your environment and your influences. Pay attention to the media you consume, the people you spend time with, the messages you're hearing. Are they telling you that your worth is connected to your appearance? Are they telling you that you need a man to be complete? Are they telling you that your job is to be attractive and acceptable? If so, it's time to change the narrative. Find content creators, books, podcasts, and people who are telling a different story. Find women who are unapologetically themselves. Find women who know their worth. Find women who are succeeding on their own terms. Let their energy influence you. Now, let's talk about what happens when you actually do this work. And this is the part that's going to blow your mind. When you stop seeking male validation, something shifts. You start making decisions based on what you actually want instead of what you think someone wants from you. You pursue careers that light you up, not ones that look good on a man's arm. You develop hobbies and passions that are just for you. You make friends based on genuine connection, not on whether they might introduce you to someone. Your entire world opens up. And yes, relationships still matter, but they become a choice, not a necessity. And here's the beautiful irony. That's when you actually attract healthy, genuine relationships, because you're showing up as your full, authentic self, not as a performance, not as a carefully curated version designed to please someone else, just you. But there's something I need to say, and this is important. Letting go of male validation doesn't mean hating men. It doesn't mean becoming closed off or bitter. It just means recalibrating. It means removing the pedestal. It means understanding that men are just humans, with their own insecurities, their own fears, their own limitations. They're not judges of your worth. They're not the arbiters of your value. They're just people. Some of them will like you, some won't. And that's okay. Because you like you, and that's what matters. I need to give you a wake-up call right now. If you keep living like this, if you keep seeking male validation as your primary source of self-worth, you're going to wake up in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, wondering where your life went. You're going to realize you made major decisions based on someone else's opinion. You're going to realize you stayed in situations that didn't serve you because you were afraid of being alone. You're going to realize you silenced yourself so many times that you forgot what your own voice sounds like. You're going to look back and mourn the years you spent trying to be small enough to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. And that's not inevitable. That's only what happens if you keep doing what you're doing right now. But there's another path. There's the path where you do this work now, where you start questioning these beliefs, where you start validating yourself, where you start building a life based on your own values and your own dreams. And I'm not going to lie to you. It's uncomfortable. It's scary. Because the moment you stop seeking male validation, you have to take full responsibility for your life. You can't blame him anymore. You can't say, well, I would have done that, but he didn't want me to. You can't outsource your decisions. You have to own them. But you know what? That's actually freedom. That's actually power. That's the path to becoming the woman you're actually capable of being. So here's what I want you to do. Starting today, not tomorrow, today, I want you to make one small choice that's based entirely on what you want, not on what you think someone else wants from you. It could be small. It could be wearing the outfit you actually like, not the one you think is more attractive. It could be saying your real opinion in a conversation. It could be pursuing that hobby you've been putting off because you thought it was too much or too weird. It could be saying no to something you don't want to do. One choice. That's it. And then I want you to really feel what happens, because I promise you, that moment when you choose yourself, when you prioritize your authentic preference over someone else's potential approval, that's where transformation begins. That's where you start to rebuild your relationship with yourself. That's where you remember that you're enough. You're enough right now, exactly as you are. You don't need to be validated by anyone. You are worthy. Your opinions matter. Your dreams matter. Your voice matters. The journey to stop seeking male validation is the journey to finding yourself, and it's the most important journey you'll ever take. So, commit to it. Not for anyone else. For you. Subscribe to this channel if you're ready to do this work. If you're ready to reclaim your life and build unshakable self-worth from the inside out. And in the comments below, tell me, what's one way male validation has held you back? Share your story, because your vulnerability might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to take their first step. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one.